All right, man. This is going to be one of those ones. If you hear for the one tonight, this has a chance. I won't guarantee that this is going to be one of those ones, but it feels like it's going to be one of those ones. Like legit late night Louie type shit tonight. Remember that promo I did for Via? Yeah, I took a couple of those tonight. And got me a little drink right here in the cup. This is about the fourth or fifth cup, so it could be one of those nights. If you know what I mean, it could be one of those nights. So this is the one that you want to tune in, saddle up. This is true late night Louie in its purest and most raw form. You're locked into the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 448th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Of course, I'm your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Number of topics that I would like to get to tonight. I'm gonna start the show off. We're gonna start raunchy tonight, man. We gonna give it. I'm saucy. I done had a couple of Eddies. We're gonna start this one off saucy. We're not gonna get to the shits of the football conversation. We're gonna get to the shits of the shit tonight. So we talked about Shannon Sharpe the other day on the podcast. Matter of fact, it was yesterday on the podcast. And I told you what my perspective of that situation was. I said, yeah, I'm not buying it. That was done intentionally. Okay. Now, you could credit Shannon Sharpe for being a shrewd businessman and turning an unfortunate situation into one he can profit off of. Or you could just look at it from the perspective that I did from the outset, from the jump, and say, this was done strategically by Shannon Sharpe. I think the first thing that it was meant to do was to dispel the rumor. So my wife is a social media savant. Okay. So when I tell you she's all over social media, kind of, peeping game on what's going on. And I'm so far removed from social media. It's not funny. I can't stand social media. You guys know that if you've been watching me for any amount of time. So that's not the thing that I generally find myself getting into. That said, my wife, on the other hand, keeps me abreast of a lot of things. So she told me that apparently there was a rumor going around. Like, look, I had seen some of the things popping up on socials about him, potentially being gay, and him, how he walks, how he looks, the things he wears, how he moves. I had no idea about this assistant apparently that he has that is very close to him. And apparently every time he's like courtside, remember, I'm a Grizzlies fan, and he got into it on a very famous ESPN game on a Friday night with Dylan Brooks and a couple members of the Grizzlies, where he stood up and he wanted all the smoke that night, and it turned into a whole mess. He apologized. Then he was still on Undisputed with Skip Bayless. He apologized the next day, or that Monday rather, so forth and so forth. But apparently when he sits courtside, his assistant, right, which is supposed to be his stylist, who is a gay man, is always next to him, like his right-hand man. And a lot of people assumed and said that, that's probably his partner, right, his secret partner. So I think a lot of what the other day was about was him trying to dispel those rumors. Then somebody had told me that Chad Ocho Cinco had said to him during his stream, the nightcap, well, at least it was Michelle and not a Michael, which that's a little odd to say, right? If that's my boy and, you know, he's going through a trying time with the situation, and look, we're gonna attack it head on. And look, if you've got boys that are your friends, like that you joke with, that you kick it with, that is something that you would say to him. But I don't know if I would say that to him on a live stream, when he's apologizing. He's supposed to be sincere about this apology. I let a lot of people down and all of this shit. I don't know if I'm saying that to him. Then I heard that Shannon Sharpe on this stream, because I didn't watch it, said that Cat Williams called and said to me, hey, at least you're not gay anymore, right? So if these are the things that you're putting out there on your show, if you're supposed to be so apologetic, this was a mistake, I can't believe this happened, and I'm so sorry, I let a lot of people down. If these are the things you're saying on your stream that night, doesn't sound like a guy who is sorry that this came out and is apologetic. It sounds like someone that's trying to push an agenda in a narrative. Like, hey, I'm not gay. Look at me. Chad Ochocinco is saying, hey, at least it's Michelle and not Michael. And then he brings up Cat Williams contacting him and saying, hey, at least you're not gay anymore. Like, these aren't things you bring up on the show unless you're trying to push an agenda. Then my wife told me this, and I think somebody else had said this, but my wife told me this, and this blew my mind, because then I actually saw, like, on Twitter, on X, you know how they have ads that pop up. I actually saw an ad for like the "My name is Michelle" or whatever, shirts or shit that he's selling or whatever. And my wife said he sold out of all of that merch. And I was like, no way, you're kidding, right? First of all, I was blown away. I'm like, he's selling merch off of this? She's like, yeah, he already sold out. I'm like, no way. Stop. Are you serious? She's like, no. He was selling merch and it sold out. I'm like, Shannon Sharpe did this on purpose. You know what this reminded me of? And this is going to go over a lot of your heads. And yes, once upon a time, I did used to watch Love and Hip Hop. Okay. Shoot me. All right. I'm not ashamed of it. So back in the day, I used to watch Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And that was the only one I ever watched with Stevie J's crazy ass and Jocelyn, right? And so you know what it reminded me of? Real talk. It reminded me a lot of the Mimi and Nico situation. Remember when I don't remember what season it was, but the season, one of the narratives for, one of the storylines for the big storyline of that year, specifically for Mimi and Nico at the time, was this sex tape that was circulating, right? And it was supposed to be leaked. Oh no, somebody stole it out of my bag at the airport. That was the line that they were running with. That was the narrative that they were pushing. Oh my God, I don't know how this thing got out. Somebody stole it out of my bag, and oh no, woe is me. I can't believe my ass is all over the internet. And then, as they were pressed and pressed throughout the season, eventually it came out that they did a porno, essentially, and they sold it to one of these studios, and they were profiting off of it. So it wasn't like this thing that just got leaked. That's what this Shannon Sharpe situation feels like. Like, he's out here, oh my God, I made a mistake. I can't believe this happened. This is a tragedy. This is so unfortunate. I'm so sorry. I let a lot of people down. When in all actuality, this was done intentionally. And this doesn't change anything, to me at least. If you thought he was, a little, soft, I don't think this should change your mind at all. This doesn't do anything. We didn't, at the end of the day, I remember watching, I actually did, when I was in college, for one of my classes. I want to say it was a psychology class. I did a presentation on masculinity in sports. And at that time, the Ezra Tutuola documentary had just come out. He had just done something on E60, I believe. Can't remember what platform it was on. Felt like it was E60, where he was really one of the first like gay men to come out that played in the NFL to come out and kind of speak out about his time in the NFL. There were other gay men before him in the NFL. Trust me. Jerry Smith is one that we've seen documented here of late, but he was the first one to come out and kind of speak about it and say, hey, this is how I felt in the locker room. These are the things that I did to try to get people off of my trail. Nobody even thought he was gay, but in his mind, because when you're hiding something like that in a very masculine environment, you feel like all eyes are on you and you've got to hold up this facade of I'm not gay, right? But nobody even thinks you're gay, right? But in his mind, I got to show them I'm not gay. So he would pay women to come into the locker room and leave with him and things of that nature just to kind of make sure that they knew I'm this big tough guy. I'm strong and I'm masculine and I've got women and I'm getting ass and all of that stuff. And it's just amazing to me how this situation is, I think it's kind of spiraling out of control, because if Shannon Sharpe is comfortable in his masculinity and his sexuality, which is the most important thing here, then you don't need to do all of this, right? When you go to these lengths to show people that you're not gay, it feels like you're gay. This, to me, the only time people do things like this is when they're hiding something and they're trying desperately to try to prove to you that they're not hiding something, but they really truly are, because people who are comfortable don't do these types of things, right? This was no accident. Trust me when I tell you. 63 and more than says, oh, he getting ass. Yeah, right. Look, I'm not here to speculate. That's not what I'm here to do. Up until this moment, I didn't think that Shannon Sharpe was hiding anything. Now I'm a little bit skeptical, right? Like, this makes me think he's hiding something. If he would have just gone about his business like, yeah, these rumors are crazy, they're unfounded, people are just speculating because I have a gay stylist and he's always with me, and so they think that something's going on. I don't even need to answer that, right? I'm just going to keep living my life and doing my thing because I have nothing to hide, right? I would have respected that more. This feels forced, right? This feels like Ezra Tutuola in the locker room paying women to come in and leave with him to give off the perception that, yeah, I got ladies, I got women, yeah, I'm about to go smash them right now, right? Like, this gives off the perception of you're hiding something. You're going out of your way to prove to me that you're not something that you really are. We didn't see anything. We just heard noises. I could do that right now, right? I could do this off camera. I can make noises off camera and pay somebody to make noises off camera, and you don't see anything happening. Who's to say that he was even doing anything? We don't know. IG Live, a bunch of noises. Cool. That's great. We have no idea what he was or wasn't doing. And I'm not here to speculate. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just telling you, he's profiting off of this. And trust me, Shannon Sharpe's no dummy. He knew that this was twofold. You know, he was going to be able to get two bites at the apple. Not only am I going to kill some of the rumors that are out there floating around about me, but I'm going to make a lot of money off of this, because guess what people are going to want to do to the show that I'm going to do later on that evening on Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco. Guess what people are going to do? They're going to want to tune in to hear what I have to say. So I'm gonna get another bite at the apple. You know what? He said, I'm not even gonna just double dip, right? With, you know, dispelling rumors and making a ton of money off of this stream. I wonder what those numbers on that Nightcap episode look like. I haven't checked them. I know they're not gonna reach the Cat Williams levels of ridiculousness that was that Cat Williams episode that he had that went completely viral and broke the internet. I'd like to say that I feel comfortable saying that after the Cat Williams episode, I bet you that Nightcap episode with Chad Ochocinco probably is his second highest viewed piece of content that he's put out on his channel. That's just an assumption. I don't know. I haven't looked. And then you sold merchandise off of that. And some people told me, I can't confirm nor deny this, but people told me they were running sex ads during his show that night on his stream. So if that's true, come on now. Does this sound like something that was done intentionally or something that was an accident? You tell me, you be the judge. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Anyway, I digress. I told you we were going to start off a little spicy. Let's get to the football though, right? That's why you showed up. That's why you came here. So let's get to the football stuff. And if you want to circle back and you want to talk about anything, including some of the things I just said, or you want to, touch on something else, be my guest. We can come back to the comment section a little bit later on. But because we got time, man, we're in no rush tonight. So with that said, let's get to the Gem Droppin Session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, I want to talk about week number 2 in the National Football League, but not week 2, as a whole. We're going to do that when I get to my money picks of the week. I want to talk about some teams in particular that had great week 1 showings. And I am curious as to whether they're real or pretenders. Now, it's early, man. Normally, we don't have the real or pretenders conversation until like week 4 or 5, right? Somebody starts 3-1, someone starts 4-0, and that's when we have the real or pretenders conversation, right? But I'm curious, there is no bigger head fake in the NFL season than week 1. There is no bigger head fake. You will see teams come out and just absolutely look incredible in week 1, and you're thinking, oh shit. And then there are some teams that are just god awful in week 1, and they turn out to be playoff teams. You can't go off of week 1 results and just make determinations on teams. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. I've watched this league for far too long. I know how the shit goes, right? So I remember one season, I think, who did we say was going to be trash? And they won their first game of the season, and then they didn't win again the rest of the season. Like they won 1 game or maybe 2 games. Can't remember who it was. I'm like, oh man, maybe we were wrong about them. And then they proceeded to go like 2-15, 2-14, and we were like, oh no, they were exactly who we thought they were. They just got off the schneid early, so they didn't have to worry about being 0-8, right? And that's kind of what I feel about New England, right? New England beat the Cincinnati Bengals. They caught the Bengals slipping. A lot of turmoil there. Is Jamar Chase going to play? Is he not going to play? T. Higgins is out. Joe Burrow hadn't played in an NFL game, a regular season game, in 10 months or whatever it was. And they took full advantage of it. And they got the win, right? They suck. They're going to stink this year. If they win 5 games, I'll be surprised this year. They're terrible, are the Patriots. Good for them. Good for Gerard Mayo to get his first win, and for them to Gatorade bath him, and for Robert Kraft to come in the locker room and give a attaboy speech, and everybody, good feelings, right? We just talked about our guy yesterday, Frankie Beverly. It was happy feelings in that locker room. Happy feelings in the air. They were happy feelings everywhere. They won't feel that shit again for another 9-10 weeks. I promise you, they won't win another game here for the next. I don't know what their schedule looks like. They might catch somebody else tripping, or they might have a team that they can beat. They won't win. If they've got a solid schedule, they won't beat another team for 8 or 9 weeks. They stink. Do the Patriots. And that's one of those week 1 things. If you're not paying attention, you can get got. But I'm not here to focus on the teams that won that are going to be trash this year, or that lost that might turn it around. I'm here to focus on the teams that won decisively. And now I'm looking at them, and a lot of people are looking at them like, hey, wait a minute. Did you see what the Vikings did to the Giants? Hey, wait a minute. Did you see what the Saints did to the Panthers? Hey, wait a minute. Did you see what the Bucks did to the Commanders? Oh, well, all three of those teams are playing some real NFL teams this week. Not the shit they faced in week 1 that they were able to pounce on and beat up and look good against and flex their little muscles against. Now they got some real opponents in front of them, and I'm dying to see what these teams do. We'll find out. And look, I think of those 3 teams I just mentioned, Tampa is the one where I'm like, I kind of respect you a bit, but they had some injuries, and there were some opportunities. Again, if you're a Commanders fan, you watch that game, you understand. We had a chance to score 30 in that game. That game, while it looks on paper and the final score, and if depending on how what lens you watch that game from, you make the 2 field goals, you hit Terry McLaurin on the deep. That's a totally different ball game, right? It's not like their defense instilled fear, right? And you in confidence in you moving forward that, hey, look out for Tampa Bay. That Buccaneers defense it's something vicious. No, not exactly, right? You can move the ball against that secondary, and you can run the football, right? Well, no, let me take that back. Not unless you have Jaden Daniels. You can't run the football. Or some quarterback like that. Lamar Jackson, one of those guys that can, extend the play. You're probably not going to run against the Bucs, but you can throw it against them. That's for damn sure. They don't have any pass rush, really. And their secondary is not only banged up, but it's not good to begin with. If they were fully healthy, that's not a secondary that you fear. So anyway, let's go through these 3 teams in particular that I am just dying to see in week 2. Let's start with the most impressive win in week 1, the most lopsided win, and the only team to score over 40, damn near scored 50. The New Orleans Saints beat up the poor, hapless little sisters of the poor Carolina Panthers 47-10. I feel so bad for the Panthers. I read a eulogy to the Panthers on Wednesday. What was it? Was it Thursday's show or was it Tuesday's show? One of those 2 shows. It was Tuesday's show because it was garbage time. I sent my condolences to Panthers fans across the globe. I'm so sorry for what you're about to go through. It breaks my heart. It's tearing up my heart watching you. Because I already know what you about to go through. And no matter what I do, I feel the pain. Because you really do. They're going to be bad for a while because their owner. But the Saints took advantage. Look, that's what you're supposed to do to a team that is falling on hard times. I don't feel bad for them. That's not my problem. Go score 47. Go make it 30-3 at halftime. That's what you're supposed to do. Derek Carr, look, sometimes I feel bad for Derek Carr because he can't win for lose. And I'm guilty of this. I don't want to sit here and act like I'm pushing this one off on you guys. I'm guilty of this. I didn't used to be this way with Derek Carr, but the more I watch him, the more I'm like, man, Derek Carr, you could do so much better than Derek Carr. Like, Derek Carr is the steady, girlfriend that you should wife up, really. She's so good to you. She takes care of all of your needs, and you really shouldn't be looking for anybody else, but you're like, I can do better, right? She's all right. On a scale of 1 to 10, she's a 5, maybe a 6. I know I can get me an 8, or I could pull an 8 or a 9, right? But that 8 or 9 ain't shit. She ain't gonna do the things that your girlfriend gonna do. But guys are so, we're not weird. Guys are so crazy in that way that they're never satisfied. Not all guys, some guys, but that's kind of Derek Carr, right? He's like he's all right, right? But You know that meme. This is the best meme to describe Derek Carr. You know the meme with the dude that's walking with his girlfriend, and then the hot girl walks by, and he turns and he's whistling at her, and that's you, and then the girlfriend is Derek Carr, right? And the next big thing at the quarterback position that's a free agent, that's available via trade or in the draft, right? Those three items are the girl walking by, and every team that has Derek Carr at quarterback is always looking for something better. Always looking for something better. And you're like, look at that, right? And Derek's like, hey, what the F, bro? I'm standing right here. And Derek Carr doesn't cuss. He's like, what the fudge, bro? I'm right here. Come on, man, with his eyeshadow on. Does anybody have darker circles of, like you can't tell me Derek Carr doesn't wear eyeshadow. Come on. He's got the whole goth look going, right? Come on, stop. But Derek had him a day. Go have yourself a day, young man. Rumble, Derek Carr, rumble. He had himself a day, right? Was quick, fast, got in, got out, got him 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards, said, I'm done for the day. Hey, Hayner, you take the rest of the day. I'm good. I'm done. That was nice. That was impressive. Now they go to Dallas in week 2. And I am dying to see if they can. Look, they don't have to win this game. What I'm not saying is you have to win this game to prove to me that you're good. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, can you go to Dallas, compete for 4 quarters, give yourself a chance, and if you fall short, you fall short. But at least I know, okay, week 1 wasn't a facade. You go to Dallas and you get beat up, 33 to 16, and the score doesn't indicate, just like what the Cowboys just did to the Browns. The score in that game against the Browns isn't a true representation of how lopsided that game was. That was a beatdown the Cowboys administered to the Cleveland Browns, if you watch that game. Shit wasn't even close. I was so disinterested in that game. I was like, hey, I want to replace this game on my multi-view, on YouTube TV, on my Sunday ticket. I want to replace this game. And they said, hey, bro, it ain't no more games. I was like, oh, shit, I'm stuck. There was nothing else I could do, right? I had to sit that one, and I just take it, right? Can you go into Dallas, compete for 4 quarters, keep it close, give yourself a chance? Just all I'm asking for is in the 4th quarter, you got a shot. You might not win, but you got a shot. Show me that wasn't fake, that wasn't a facade, that you're actually a team to be reckoned with this season. And this one game isn't going to, excuse me, necessarily be the end all be all, but it's a start because it's real competition. Same could be said with the Minnesota Vikings. I heard an interesting stat that I just told my dad about. I was on the phone with Boss Man not too long ago. And I said, Boss, did you know that the 49ers have not won in Minnesota since 1992? And he said, the 49ers? I said, yeah, they haven't won in Minnesota since 1992. He's like, well, damn. I said, yeah, that shit's finna change, though. I said, you remember they lost in Minnesota last year on a Monday night, right? Brock Purdy threw 3 picks. It was nasty. They turned it over so many times, and they still had a chance to win, and they couldn't get it done. But I said that was without Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. You know how we like to justify shit. Well, that was without Trent Williams, like Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel threw 3 picks, right? Like they can't win without those two. Look, you could argue they can't. They went on a 3-game losing streak without those two. Should have won against the Browns, though, the game that they both got hurt in. But Jake Moody missed the game-winning field goal. That's nor here nor there. The bottom line is they lost all of the games in which Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel either didn't play or didn't finish last season. That said, the Vikings are at a stark disadvantage in this game. Now, there's a rumor that has circulated that the 49ers are mulling over the decision whether they want to put Christian McCaffrey on IR or not. That's pretty interesting. Isn't it ironic that all these guys have gotten paid this offseason, and just like that, they go back to their injured ways. Christian McCaffrey, before he got to San Francisco, we forgot what Christian McCaffrey was. Remember? We were like, Christian who? Christian who? McCaffrey? Did he say McCaffrey? Who? Oh, McCaffrey. McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey's son? Christian McCaffrey? Oh, Carolina. Okay, Carolina. Okay, Carolina running back. Okay, that's right. Okay, I got you. Damn, when the last time he played in the game? That was the energy we had towards Christian McCaffrey. I ain't seen that dude in like 2 years. Who's that? Then he goes to San Francisco, kills it, right? Kills it. Comes over in a trade, finishes that season, plays well. The next year is just even better, outstanding. You could argue best season of his career. Gets paid, and then now he's hurt. Achilles. Tua just got the massive deal, got another concussion, right? These things happen. But while the 49ers are without Christian McCaffrey, they've already shown us that Jordan Mason is more than capable of filling in. Meanwhile, the Vikings are going to be without Jordan Addison in this game. Can they afford to not have their number 2 wide receiver with Sam Darnold starting at quarterback? Impressive win over the Giants, 28-6, domination throughout. It was a true ass kicking, and much like the Cowboys game that I just talked about, the score in that Vikings game does not do it justice. They dominated the Giants 6 ways to Sunday, right? That said, it was the Giants. Much like with the Saints, it was the Panthers. So I don't know what to make of it. I've always said, look, if they put an inferior team in front of you, beat them up, right? Do what you're supposed to do to them, right? Destroy them. That's what they did. But we didn't know what the Vikings were. We didn't think they were that good. I still don't. They're going to have to prove, and again, much like I said with the Saints, a little bit different of a situation. Vikings are going home. Saints are going on the road. Doesn't matter. Just compete for 4 quarters. The 49ers are a far superior team on paper. The expectations for the 49ers are Super Bowl or bust. No such things exist for the Minnesota Vikings, especially with Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback. Just go in there and compete. I don't expect you to win. I don't give a shit that you haven't lost to the 49ers in Minnesota since 1992. That doesn't bother me one bit. I picked the 49ers with pride and didn't think about it twice. I picked the 49ers and moved on to the next game. Didn't even blink, didn't even flinch, having that information at my disposal. Didn't even flinch, right? Just be competitive. The Jets were non-competitive on Monday night. They literally showed up and thought it was preseason game number 4. Hey, let's get Aaron Rodgers a little bit of work with the ones. Let's get him out there, let him toss the pigskin around for a few quarters and just get the arm lathered up a little bit, you know. Hopefully he doesn't need some icy hot tomorrow. Let's see how he feels after a little bit of work out here. Right? That's what it felt like. Jets preseason game number 4. Took care of those boys in short order. Can you stand up? Can you be present for 4 quarters? Can you make it competitive? That's all I'm asking. You don't have to win the game. Just show me that you're not going to wilt under the pressure that is the San Francisco 49ers. Because I've seen many a team wilt under the pressure that is the San Francisco 49ers. That's all I'm saying. Are you real or are you a pretender? Because look, the Vikings, you don't play in the best division, and with Jordan Love's injury, and you know the Packers are out here faking the funk, right? Oh, Jordan Love is questionable. Okay, guy hasn't been at practice. He hasn't even been out on the field at any point this week in practice, but he's questionable on Sunday. Come on, man. That's a 2 to 4 week injury that you over here talking about questionable with. We all know that you got to start Malik Willis. Ugh, that's nasty. Hey, sucks to be you. Mm, mm, mm. Lions look good. Bears, I'm just going to say, I'm telling you, Caleb Williams was the favorite to be rookie of the year. I'm just telling you, he will not win rookie of the year this season. Not on my watch. Or as Ayanla likes to say, not on my watch. Not on my watch, he won't. He won't be winning the rookie of the year this year. No, sir, buddy. Let's see what the Vikings do against the San Francisco 49ers at home in week 2. Real or are you a pretender? And then lastly, Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, look, that's a playoff team from last year. Unlike the first 2 teams we talked about who were non-playoff teams from a season ago, this is a playoff team from last year. So put some respect on their name. And I'm fully aware, and I'm going to make sure I put that respect on their name before we even talk about their situation. The Buccaneers looked good on offense last week, man, and that's an understatement. They had 8 legitimate drives last week, and they scored on 7 of them. Put up 37 points. They were 9 of 13 on third downs. Baker Mayfield threw 4 touchdown passes, 289 yards passing, only 6 incompletions for Baker Mayfield. It was one of his best performances of his NFL career. Defense wasn't, I wouldn't go crazy over the defensive performance in that game, but they got it done, right? That's all that matters is they got it done. Bottom line is, I'm still not sure about Tampa Bay. And after the Falcons debacle in week 1, and I told you, week 1 is the biggest head fake. Okay, don't overreact. I know it was gruesome looking. That Falcons game was nasty. Did you hear what Raheem Morris said about Kirk Cousins' performance? Yeah, he was like, yeah, he was bad. Yeah, he was bad. We were bad, but he was bad too, right? We were, he tried to clean it up afterwards, but he's like, nah, ain't no sugarcoating it. Yeah, Kirk stunk. He's not wrong. But you know who else stunk? Their offensive coordinator. I don't know who the guy is. But I just know this much. When you let TJ Watt wreck the game and you do nothing to try to curtail it, you're just as guilty as Kirk Cousins is. Okay. You're just as much, if not even more at fault than Kirk is. When you let a guy that you studied all week long and prepared for all week long and saw he was crushing your right tackle and never said, hey, you know what? Let's send a tight end over there to double him or chip him at least, right? Let's take the guard and let's just double team TJ Watt, make sure that he doesn't win. Nothing. They just left the right tackle out there to fend for himself, and that brother needed a buoy because he was drowning. TJ Watt was drowning that man. TJ had his head underwater. Barely could get up there and get some air. It was bad. It was bad. So that division is wide open. Saints had a big win. It was Carolina, right? Falcons look really bad. That's who I picked to win the division. And so I'm looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers saying, you want to run this back? You want to do this again? And week 1 was pretty impressive. Not going to lie. But now, that was the Commanders. Come on. They're calling it a recalibration. It's a rebuild. Come on. Come on. Yeah, that was nice. But now you're going to Detroit to play the Lions. You're going back to the scene of the crime last year, where the caution tape is, where that chalk outline is of your season from last year. Yeah, you're going back to the scene of the crime. CSI is still out there picking up DNA fragments. Let's see what you're really about. Because the Lions, they've proven now they're legit. They're for real. They're for real. So the question now becomes, are you legit? I want to see. And I expect Tampa. Of the three teams, Tampa is the one that I expect to go in and compete and not get, because they played the Lions last year, and I think it was 20-6 or something like that. It was it was in Tampa. It was a reasonably close ball game. The score doesn't indicate. I mean, that's 14-point deficit. But it doesn't indicate how close that was a good, competitive game throughout. And then the playoff game was the same way, right? I have no reason to doubt that this one won't be, but I'll be pretty disappointed if they go in there and the Lions open up a can of whoop ass, because the Lions didn't play their best game on Sunday night and they still won. Same thing could be said about the Eagles. Good teams find a way to win. Doesn't always have to be pretty, but they find a way to get it done, because that's what the good teams in this league do. That's what the Chiefs did on Thursday night. Wasn't pretty. That was their best performance, but guess what? It was enough to get it done. Eagles said the same thing on Friday. Not our best performance, but yeah, we found a way to get it done. That's what the good teams do. That's what the Lions did, right? They go into this game thinking, all right, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2 or 3 catches for 17, 13 yards or whatever it was. Let's open up a can of whoop ass. Let's get Amon-Ra, 22 targets, 14 catches, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's keep J-Mo going and have him have a ball, and let's score 37 this week. And if they decide to do that and you only score 13 or 16 or 19 or 20, and it's really a thorough ass kicking, it's not one of those, well, the Commanders game 37-20 was actually more competitive than that. If it's not one of those games where it's actually more competitive, that where you're like, nah, this thing was 37-3 and they called the dogs off, right, at one point. Because we've seen games like that. The Ravens were up 28-0 against those Lions last year in the first quarter. They could have scored 80 that day and they called the dogs off. Like, okay, for the dogs in them, we gonna chill out. I heard something really funny. I got to tell y'all this. Let's go ahead. So I've given you the 3 teams, right? I've given you 3 teams. Let's transition to Thursday night leftovers. I'm gonna head to the fridge. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab me. I got some pizza. I'm gonna grab me some pizza. Got some ranch dressing to go with it. And I am going to devour these leftovers. I appreciate y'all. All right. So before we do that, I gotta tell y'all this joke I heard today. This is one of those doom, right? Like, it's a good one, though. It's a good one. I'm gonna hype it up. Normally, I don't hype up jokes, because the worst thing you can do is hype up a joke, tell the joke, and then people looking at you with that cricket look, that look, like, and you weak telling a joke, right? And then you got to hit them with that. You had to be there because the shit wasn't funny to nobody else. I don't hype jokes up because I don't want the anticipation to exceed the actual joke itself. But this is a good one, right? On the heels of the presidential debate that was on Tuesday this week, where there were cats and dogs conversations being had and talked about cats being killed and dogs and all kinds of craziness, right? I saw on social media, I told you this is when social media is at its best. Somebody, and touche to this individual who had this very sharp analysis. My buddy lives in Ohio, so this hit a little different for me. He said, this person on social media said, the only cats and dogs that are being murdered right now are the Bengals and Browns in Ohio. He said the only cats and dogs that are being murdered in Ohio right now are the Browns and Bengals. Come on, you can't tell me that wasn't a good one. Good one. Good one. That was a good one. Come on, you got to give him credit where credit is due. Anyway, I digress. All right. And I actually think that's going to continue in week number 2. So that's a little preview of what's to come when we get to my money picks of the week. Anyway, let's get to my Thursday night leftovers, man. Let me grab me a little slice of pizza. Got some ASMR for y'all. Oh, man. First leftover. Bills. From Thursday night's 31-10 victory over the Miami Dolphins. Josh Allen's 19 attempts. He was 13 of 19 in the game, if you recall, for like 130 some odd yards. Man, he essentially took the week off. He took a half a day, right? You go to work for 4 hours and like, you know what? I'm going to take a half a day today, right? That's what Josh Allen essentially did in this game. Allen's 19 attempts, the lowest since the Dallas game he had last year in 2023, when he also took a half a day in the ass thrashing of the Dallas Cowboys in that game. Pause. But really, you got to go all the way before that Dallas game. You got to go all the way back to a New England Patriots contest from 2020 to find another game where Josh Allen had 19 or less attempts. So this is, Josh Allen is the Superman for the Buffalo Bills. Like, as he goes, they go. So rarely can he take a day off and they can still win. That's not something that usually happens. Even if he's not the main reason they won the game, he's still a huge part of why they won the game. He really didn't do anything. The one throw he made in this game to the Maryland running back. I always do this. I was gonna call him. No, it's not Ty Chandler. He plays for the Vikings. I was gonna call him Ty Summers. That's not his name. It's Ty something. Is it Ty Johnson? It might be Ty Johnson. I think it's Ty Johnson. I'm going with Ty Johnson. Good answer. Good answer. Show me Ty Johnson. Bang! Number one answer. It is Ty Johnson. I'm pretty confident. That throw to Ty Johnson was the only thing he really contributed in the game. Everything else was the defense and Dalvin Cook, essentially. He really didn't do much else. He didn't have to, right? So you don't get that very often with Buffalo. The fact that he was able to just kind of coast, if you will, speaks volumes about the performance in that game, right? Miami. Let's go to some leftovers from the Dolphins. Let's get another leftover. That piece had some ranch on it. Really good. Dolphins. Under head coach Mike McDaniel have had 14 losses the last 2 seasons, or let's say 15 losses throughout his career. This is his 3rd year as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. They were a 9-8 ball club his first year, made it to the postseason. They were 11-6 last year, made it to the postseason. They're 1-1. So 15 losses total in his NFL career. He's had now 10, or is it 11 losses. Of those 15 losses, 10 or 11 of them have been when the Dolphins have scored 20 points or less. I'll repeat. Mike McDaniel has 15 losses in just a shade over 2 years as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Of those 15 losses, we're going to call it 11. It might be 10. We're going to call it 11 because 11 sounds better than 10. 11 of those losses have come when the Dolphins have scored 20 or less points. Most of those instances, it was less than 20 points. I think only 2 of those times they actually hit 20. The rest of the losses, so the other 8 or 9 of them, were less than 20 points. What that says to me, okay, and just so you understand the other end of the spectrum and to give it further context, so you don't say, well, how many of his wins came when they had less than 20 points? I got the answer for your ass. Just in case you were being a smart ass out there. 2, okay? 2 of his wins have come when they've scored less 20 or less points, okay? They don't win very often, the point I'm trying to make, when they score 20 or less. And so this it further hammers home the point that I made yesterday or last night or 2 nights ago now, when I talked about the Dolphins and I said, they're so explosive, but they're feast or famine. Either they're explosive and they're scoring on an 82-yard touchdown or a 56-yard touchdown or a 67-yard touchdown, or they're not scoring at all. You know, it's they don't put together these lengthy drives that end in a 5-yard touchdown run. They can. I've seen them do it. But they don't, what I'm telling you is they don't grind out victories very often, right? They don't, that's not who they are. Okay. They're not a grinded out team. Oh, look at the Dolphins. They ran it 52 times, and that's a lot. Let's bring that number down a little bit. They ran it 42 times today for 206 yards and really took the air out of the football. Tua only threw it 17 times, and they really established the run in this game. That's not who they are under Mike Daniel. They're explosive and dynamic, and you can catch a 70 piece. You can catch a 40 burger. They can put up 33 on you real fast, quick, and in a hurry. But if you limit the explosive plays, if you take away Tyreek Hill getting deep and vertical or catching a deep over route and hauling ass, if you can stop Waddle from getting behind your secondary or catching a slant and murking, if you can limit the explosive plays, don't let Raheem Mostert or don't let the Texas A&M running back that we saw last night, or even the new rookie that they just drafted, Jalen Wright. You don't let one of these dudes get loose for a 64-yard touchdown run. If you just make them earn it, I don't think they can consistently win. There are a few of those games where they grinded out. The Dallas game last year was a grinded out affair. 20, what was it, 22-20 or something like that? Grinded out affair, whatever it was. That was a gritty win that they had against Dallas last year. There aren't many of those on the Mike McDaniel ledger, right? There's not many of those in his back pocket. And that's why I question the Dolphins, is I don't think they're tough enough. I don't think they're tough enough. Another leftover. Bad Dog always says that anybody that eats a pizza with pineapples on it isn't really Italian. Well, guess what? I ain't Italian because I like pineapples on my pizza. All right. That piece had a pineapple on it, a nice, big, juicy pineapple on it. James Cook's 3 touchdowns were a career high. All right. He tied a career. Well, excuse me. That was a career high. He's never had 3 touchdowns in a game in his career in the NFL. He's had 2 multiple times, never had 3. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown in the game, all of which came in the first half. James Cook was really the catalyst, along with the Bills' defense and the turnovers that they were able to create, were the catalyst for winning this game. He was outstanding, was James Cook. And he's going to be a huge part of this Bills offense. If the Bills are to succeed, if they are to be the team that we think they're capable of being, he's going to have to be a huge part of what they do, because his ability to catch the football and that dynamic explosiveness that we just saw from the Dolphins game and throughout his career to this point, they're going to need that, because offensively with the receivers in particular, I don't think you're going to see those dynamic explosive plays that they used to have with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. I don't think you're going to see that. Valdez-Scantling may be able to provide you with that, but as we know, as a wise man used to say, he couldn't catch claps in a whorehouse. That's not a guy I want to be relying on to catch the football. But maybe he'll catch it with the Buffalo Bills, right? We'll see. Next leftover. Two of his 3 interceptions tied a career high for him. He had done it twice before the game on Thursday night. Now, he had never done it in the first, literally 2 of those interceptions came in the first quarter. He had never done that before. That was the first time he threw 2 interceptions in the first quarter. He had a 3 interception game in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, and that was against the Packers at the very end of the season. And then he had a 3 interception game in 2020, his rookie season, against these very Buffalo Bills in an absolute ass thrashing 56. I want to say it was 56 to like 14 or something like that. Anyway, I digress. A real discussion, and I mean the Tua discussion. I told y'all last night it was going to be everywhere, right? And it was, and it sparked this whole debate on, player safety and should coaches have a say so in a player's, could a team step in and do the right thing, right? As if they can control what he decides to do. I mean, theoretically, they could say, hey, we're not going to play you, bro. We just don't think football is for you anymore. And it's his decision whether he wants to play. He can say, okay, cool. Well, trade me. Let me go somewhere else. And all it takes is one team to say, hey, we'll play you. Just like in boxing, boxing used to be one of my favorite sports. And it's so sad what's happened to the sport over the years. But one of the things that's really sad, one of the saddest things about boxing is when guys are past their prime, they are no longer the boxer that made them who they are, right? Made them a public figure, a champion, one of the best to ever do it. Whether it's a Roy Jones Jr. or a Vander Holyfield or, one of these guys you're watching fight way past their prime and you're just like, bro, stop, please. And I'm just begging one of these commissions, stop giving these dudes license to fight in your city. New York, stop letting him do this to himself. He's 55 years old. Don't stop letting him fight. Don't give him a license. Nevada already said, nah, give me it. Come on, man. Stop. He's like, nah, I want to. Okay, all right. Give me your license. You can't fight in Nevada anymore. Right? Just take the license, bro. And all it would take is one team in the NFL to say, hey, I'll let you fight here. Right? If you're too, hey, I'll let you play here. Shit, we ain't got no quarterback. I was just talking to my dad, and he said the same thing I said last night, which is his family really needs to try to get through them, because if it's up to Tua, he wants to play. I know he's going to want to play. He's not thinking about the future. He's thinking about right now. And that's when you need other people to step in and help you think about the future, because he's living in now. And, I didn't even think about this. I was just thinking about how bad the life on the back end can be when you sustain concussions. And I talked about Jim McMahon last night in particular. And, he talks about like, yo, if I had to do it all over again, I definitely wouldn't, put myself through this shit. If you gave me a chance to go back and ask me, if I would continue, hell no, I wouldn't do that, because I know what I would have to deal with on the back end now. And I wouldn't put myself through that. I wouldn't want to. That's how I was thinking. Like, it's painful. You forget things. You're not going to be the same father that you could be to your kids. You got 2 little ones. More could be coming. Who knows? You want to be there for them. You want to be cognizant for them. Right? You don't want to be suffering from early stages of dementia and things of that nature, and don't have the cognitive skills, and now your motor functions have been affected because of it, because your brain controls everything. And my dad was like, yeah, but what about guys like Junior Seau and Andre Dirty Waters, who committed suicide based off of this? And I was like, shit, I didn't even think about that part of it. Yeah, that exists. The quarterback that played at Wazoo that took his life. God, it starts with an H. His last name starts with an H. I watched the 30 for 30 on that. Like, that shit is real. You start thinking about things that you never thought about before. You saw what Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce said. Look, I tell him it ain't worth it, man. Go ahead and hang it up, bro. You know? But the 3 interceptions came before the concussion. He was funky way before. Somebody told me last night that he thinks the concussion happened on the 3rd interception where he's trying to get out of bounds. And, the thing me and my dad were talking about, and I literally said this to y'all last night. Remember, I said Tua doesn't brace himself for impact with the ground, right? He doesn't know how to fall. He's like a rag doll. Every time he gets slammed to the ground, most people put their arm up, right, to try to shield themselves or put their hand down. You could break your wrist or stuff. But look, I'd much rather break my wrist trying to brace my fall than to just let my head crash violently to the turf and sustain a concussion. Like, the trade-off to me isn't equal. I'd rather not have a normal wrist for the rest of my life than to have my brain shaking around my head, like a marble in a jar, right? Tua never puts his arm down to brace his fall, ever, as if his arms don't work or it's not allowed to work in that fashion. Go watch all of the concussions he sustained and tell me what's the common denominator there, except for the one on Thursday night against the Bills, because that one didn't involve him like slamming his head and hitting the turf. But maybe the interception did. I got to go back and watch that. Last leftover. Fourth time in Josh Allen's career that he's led the Bills to a 2-0 start in 7 seasons as their starting quarterback. This is something that Bills fans have gotten accustomed to. It's Josh Allen leading his Bills to a 2-0 start. 4th time in 7 seasons. So over half of his career, the Bills have started off the season 2-0 when Josh Allen is the starter. And, this was a season. And look, we've seen them do this before. Start off hot. People are talking best team in the league type. Remember, I want to say it was 2 years ago. They started off the season, I want to say week 1. I don't remember who the week 1 opponent was. I know the Rams were one of the first opponents. I want to say it was the Rams. The year the Rams won the Super Bowl. So they won the Super Bowl in 2021. And they had Thursday night football to kick off the season against the Bills. And I remember saying, why did the NFL do this? Like, I get it. You want a competitive game. You want a game that's going to, like, this is not fair, though. The Bills are better than the Rams. I know the Rams was a defending Super Bowl, but remember, the Rams had bought a Super Bowl. Odell Beckham and Von Miller and Jalen Rand, like, they had went out and got all of these guys, and like half of the squad wasn't there the next year. So I was like, this isn't a fair fight. And the Bills went in there and beat the brakes off of them. Then the next week they beat up somebody, and I think they started that season 4-0. And we were like, yo, Bills might be the best team in football this year. This is the year. And then they promptly went probably lost the next 4 out of 6 games or something like that. Cooled off considerably. And so we've seen this movie from them before where they start off really well. But this year it's a little different because in those years we expected them to be good. I can't speak for you. Maybe you thought they were going to be really good. I thought they had a shot, and they still do. This start doesn't necessarily, they're 2-0 doesn't mean that they're going to be, world beaters this season. But I do believe that this is a season in which a lot of people doubted the Bills. I'm guilty. I can't speak for you. I don't like speaking for anyone else. I doubted the Bills, and I still do, by the way. I think they're a playoff team. And I said that before the season started, but I don't think they're going to win this division. They've won it 4 years in a row. I think the Jets are going to win the division this year. But Josh Allen, off to a 2-0 start for the 4th time in 7 years. They look good, man. Even with the lack of weapons, and I've been very vocal, and I'm going to continue to be until they prove me wrong. It's early, and they've been able to kind of circumvent that. But I told you, over the next month, we will have a clearer picture about the Buffalo Bills, who they are and what they stand for, right? And if they come out of that thing alive and kicking, okay, all right, we can have that Buffalo Bills discussion for sure. All right. So that's Thursday night leftovers. Now, I want to get to my money picks of the week. But before I do that, I want to get to the comment section first and see how you guys feel. Make sure that there's no comments out there that need to be read. Normally, I only do this on Wednesdays when we have social media maneuvers. That's when I allow you to have the floor, use the hashtag. We really, knock out as many comments as we can, super chat, all that good stuff. Normally, I just go through the podcast, and if there are any super chats, read those. If they're not, get out of there, right? Tonight's a little different. Got a little bit of time on my hands, so if you got any comments out there that you want read, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If it's pertinent, we'll knock it out if time permits. I'm not going to sit here and read comments all night, right? But I'll knock out a few of these. If you want to ensure that your comment is read and that we react to it, super chats are the way to get that done. Use the super chat function to help you jump to the front of the line and get your comment reacted to. So, with that said, let's go to the comment section, see what you guys have to say. And we start with Comasel Brown. All right. Comasel Brown. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Comasel Brown writes, I will be totally watching the D-line this game because if we get exposed or look suspect, time to get what we can for the two high-paid defensive linemen and just start the rebuild if we lose. That's an interesting take. So I'm going to be honest with you. Daron Payne was downright dominant in week one. I've already said that, and I talked about it on Wednesday's CNN, where I said, upon further review, Daron Payne was damn near unblockable, it felt like at times. And you would have felt a lot different about his performance if he would have gotten the 2 sacks that he had a chance to get and, made a couple of those tackles that he had a chance to make for tackles for loss. He was constantly in the backfield in this game. So it just really comes down to making the play. Now, Jonathan Allen, on the other hand, he had a chance to make a sack. He had a chance to make a couple tackles for loss, and he missed. And so he wasn't as dominant, but he played well. And so I get it. You want guys taking over the game. And when you watch some of these high-paid defensive tackles, you see them doing that. But, I mean, Quinnen Williams is one of the highest-paid defensive tackles in the NFL. He had one pressure on Brock Purdy and on the first drive. And then did you see him the rest of the game? No, you didn't, right? It's not an every week occurrence. It's not an every week thing. But you want to see those guys show up and show out at some point. And so I think you're going to see that this year from Payne. I've already said that. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season this year. All right. So I'll be shocked if he doesn't. Truly and utterly shocked. But they're not going to just start the rebuild. They're not even calling it a rebuild. They're not going to hit the reset button. They're going to keep the guys that they think can help them win. Because if you get rid of players like Payne and Allen, you're literally delaying the process, right? You're slowing down your growth and how fast you can come back and be a competitive team. They're not looking to do that. They're trying to get to a competitive state as quickly as they can. You need guys like Allen and Payne. You can't get rid of those type of guys and be competitive. We saw that last year. They got rid of, we could talk all the shit we want about Montez Sweat and Chase Young, right? Oh, Chase Young's this, he's that. As soon as they traded him, what happened to the defense? The defense wasn't great before they traded him, but it was even worse after they left, right? It was even worse after they left. We didn't surrender any 40-point games before they left, I don't think. I can't recall any 40-point performances in the season last year prior to week 8, which was the Eagles game, right? But after that game, they traded everybody. But after that game, boy, the 40-point performances started to rain down, didn't they? Felt like it, at least. And the Bears game was a 40 burger, wasn't it? Yeah, delicioso. There was one in there, right? The Bears, but I digress. It could get ugly. It could get a lot uglier. I can tell you that much. They're not getting rid of those guys, and I really think Payne is going to be really good this season. Allen might be too. Who knows? We'll see. Joe, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joe writes, Daniel Jones plays like Rex Grossman 15 weeks in the year and plays like Joe Montana against us. We're the reason he still has a job. That's not true, Joe. See, that's the narrative. That's what I talked about on the show earlier today, right? Or yesterday, if you're on the East Coast. That's the false narrative that's been perpetuated, is that Daniel Jones is only in the league and only has a job and is only being paid this amount of money because of what he's done against the Commanders. Not true. Okay. Daniel Jones got paid because of what he did in the 2022 season. Okay. The man was really good under then first year head coach Brian Daboll, and he led them to a 9-win season, a 9-7-1 season, and a playoff win. You could argue that he got paid because of what he did in that Vikings playoff game, more so than anything else. Look, he beat us 2 times that year in 2022. They were both close. Well, okay, first of all, he didn't beat us twice in 2022. He tied once against us in 2022 and won a 20-12 game in which he had pedestrian numbers, right? And they had a pass interference where they didn't have it called. The referees called us for a legal formation when it wasn't, right? Like, so many things had to happen in their favor to win a game 20-12, right? He did not play like lights out. Like this narrative that Daniel Jones plays great against the Commanders. He doesn't turn it over against us. Okay. He doesn't turn it over. He had one game that inflates his numbers against us. 5 touchdown passes in one game in 2019 when we were the worst team in football, it felt like. One game, 5 touchdown passes. I'd love to know like how many touchdowns versus interceptions he has in the 7 starts he has against us. I believe it's 7 starts in his career. I'd love to know how many touchdown passes he have, because I bet you that whatever the total is, it either is equal to or doesn't exceed the 5 he had in the one game. If you take, like, what I'm saying to you essentially is he's got 9 or 10 touchdown passes total against the Commanders. If he's got 11 or 12, I'd be shocked. I bet you the number is 9 or 10. And 5 of those came in one game, an overtime game at that. He killed us in that game. We were awful, and we wanted to lose that game. If you recall, that was the Chase Young toilet bowl game. We wanted to lose that game, and we almost won somehow. Okay, and then he had a good game in 2021, week 2, the game that was 30-29. He had a good game then too. The big run there. He had a couple of nice throws. He missed the deep ball in that game that would have really been troublesome had he hit Darius Slayton. He hasn't played that like this. I think that's a false narrative, Joe. I'm just gonna say that. You can believe what you want to believe. People can tell you what they. I think the bigger issue is the fact, and I pointed this out. John Kahn, tweeted this out earlier. I think the bigger issue here is the fact that we don't score points when we play the Giants and Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has nothing to do with that. The fact that we don't score 20 in those games is why we've lost so many times. I just told you they beat us 20-12. Last year, they beat us 31-19. Every time we play the Giants, we managed to just miss 20 points or barely hit it. When we tied them, it was 20-20, right? The one time I think we've scored above 20 in a game against Daniel Jones, or above 23, I think John Kahn said it happened twice. And I can't even remember the other one. Was the 2022 week 2 matchup when we scored 30 points. Like, the fact that the defense continuously lets us down, or the offense continuously lets us down in those games, is more important to me. If Daniel Jones were truly killing us, they'd be scoring a bunch of points and the games wouldn't be close. I think people are over exaggerating this whole situation because he just looks so bad against everybody else. And so in comparison, it looks like that's like me saying, man, um, I be out here killing it against these, 2 and 3-year-olds when I'm playing basketball, man. I mean, I be dunking on them on these little tight hoops. You mean I mean, I'm killing these dudes. Like, and then you compare it to what you're doing against NBA players, right? Like the comparison is so drastic and it's so like one is so bad that it makes the other one look like, oh my God, he's killing this shit. He's not that good against us. He's not. He's just so bad against everybody else that it makes the performances against us look like he's Steve Young or Joe Montana, as you just put it. But it's really not. He's basic as hell. We just got to score points. That's it. Daniel Jones isn't kicking our ass and they're scoring 27 or 30 or 33. He's scoring 20. And in certain instances, if you go back to that 2020 game where they beat us, the defense scooped up a touchdown and ran, scooped up a fumble and ran for a touchdown. He didn't score 20 points in that game. The defense scored 7 and he scored 13. Right? And there's probably more instances where he didn't do much. He just did enough. So I'm going to push back against that. I'm not going to sit here and allow that narrative to continue on my airwaves. I'm going to push back against that narrative, Joe. And we're going to score points on Sunday. And that's what's going to change it this time, is that we're going to score points. He might play well against us again. He might not play as poorly as he does against everybody else on Sunday. He might not turn it over and he might not do the things he did in week 1 against the Vikings. But if we score 27, I guarantee you that's enough to win because they're not going to score 27. That's the difference, is we're going to score points this time. In past years, we couldn't. This year, we're going to score, and that's why we're going to win this game. Let's see. Here we go right here. Kevin writes, I'm not sold on Caleb at all, Lou. I've never agreed with him being generational. He looks small and scared to be hit. Great throw on the run, but in the pocket, tons of batted balls. His game was somewhat jarring in week 1, man. The missed throws, and look, his superpower is getting out of the pocket and extending and making these Houdini-like plays, right? But at some point, and this was, I heard people talking about this, including Bears fans, at some point, you've got to operate from the pocket. Like the whole flashy play thing is cool, but at some point, you got to be able to stand in there, stand tall, and operate from the pocket. I used to be one of these guys that wasn't, too turned off by, shorter quarterbacks. Like, hey, I don't give a shit if a guy's 6 feet or 6'1". If he's talented, sign me up. Bullshit. After dealing with Sam Howell last year and seeing some of these smaller quarterbacks like Bryce Young, for instance, come into the league and struggle. And look, there's the Baker Mayfields of the world and the Kyler Murrays who do just fine. The Russell Wilsons, they do just fine. But those guys seem to be few and far between. The fact of the matter is you want a taller quarterback. That shit isn't cool because in college, you can drop back 20 yards and be away from the line of scrimmage and deliver the football. You can't do that shit in the NFL. The pass rushers are just too good, right? The defenses are too good. You drop back that far, you're running into a sack. You got to stay in the pocket. So I really don't know about Caleb, and his size wasn't something that a lot of people talked about. I talked about it during the draft process. I said, the dude's not that big, right? He's not a tall guy. Which I think, is part of the reason he likes to get out of there is he can't see everything. But I think he's going to be fine. Generational, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But he's definitely talented, and it's a good thing he's got a complete team around him, a complete roster. So he doesn't have to feel like he's got to go. Like I think him playing as poorly as he did in week 1 may actually benefit him in the long run because it may actually show him, over these first, 6 to 8 games, hey, I don't have to be the savior of this franchise for us to win games. Like, I just have to be a part of the reason why we win or not lose, right? Just don't turn it over. Don't try to be He-Man and force it into triple coverage and throw a pick when the defense is playing lights out and special teams is scoring points on their own. And sometimes as a young quarterback, that's good to see, because a lot of times when you're drafted that high, your team sucks. They need you to play well in order to have a chance. You don't play well, you're not going to win. And he didn't play well at all. You could argue that he hindered their success, and they still won despite him, in spite of him. So I think that might actually turn out to be a good thing for him, to be honest with you. John Wynn says, I always butt dial my family, but I can only do that if it's for emergencies or something. Again, that's problematic for me. I don't understand how that is occurring in this day and age, how you're butt dialing someone with all of the measures that can be put in place to not allow your phone to do that. That's just asinine to me. I haven't pocket dialed or butt dialed somebody. First of all, butt dial is not a real thing. Nobody keeps their phone in their back pocket and sits on it. Like, maybe females do that, but guys don't do that. So pocket dial, I think, is the real term here. I haven't pocket dialed somebody in over a decade, man. It's got to be almost 2 decades. Like, that's insane. No person in their young right mind is gonna pocket dial someone. There's no reason for it, right? You got to go out of your way to pocket dial somebody. That's how I feel. Again, different strokes for different folks. Kevin writes, Detective Lou, you might not be wrong, but I don't know what grown man wants the world to hear them growling like a wolf. Look, I don't know if I'm right or not. These are, conspiracy theories that I've drawn up. Okay. I can just tell you this. Even if the act was real, right? Which it probably was. I don't think he paid a woman to be in there and then he started growling and thinking that was going to be, something that was cool. I'm thinking that really did go down, right? And I personally don't think he is homosexual. I don't think that to be the case, but I don't know, and I don't care, right? That I don't give a shit if he is or not. What he does is his prerogative. But for me, I think this was intentionally done. Absolutely. Without question in my mind, that he knew that he's not getting fired from ESPN. That was the worst that could happen, right? Let's weigh the pros and the cons. The con is I could get fired from my main source of income, and I'll be forced to take this YouTube thing on full time and maybe try to find a gig elsewhere, maybe CBS Sports, maybe Fox 1 will have me back, right? They've gotten rid of Skip, so maybe they'll have me back. I don't know. But he knew, he kind of weighed that situation. I said, they're not going to get rid of me. I'm Shannon Sharpe, right? I move the needle. I bring eyeballs to their network. They're not going to get rid of me. And then he said, well, what's the pros here? One, I'm not viewed as gay anymore. That's really important. Clearly, that's really important. Two, this is going to give us a rating spike, right? And not just, the beauty of a rating spike when you're on YouTube is it's not a temporary thing. People that show up because of something drastic happening oftentimes hit the subscribe button. Like, oh, they finally, they get there and they say, whoa, I didn't know he had an interview with this person and this person. And then next thing you know, they've subscribed, right? You've watched your subscriber count go from here to there. And, not everybody's going to come back and watch everything that you do, but now you got, more income coming in, more revenue because there's more eyeballs. Also, take into consideration that those videos that you do in the aftermath of that are going to be crazy. The numbers are going to be crazy. And then this man even had the presence of mind to say, hey, let's get shirts printed up and let's get this merch going, right? I mean, there was so many pros to this thing. But again, he could care less. Look, as long as people are talking about you, guys in that sphere, right, of entertainment where they just want them, as long as they're talking, as long as your name is in their mouth, you don't really care what it's for. So him growling like a wolf, him growling like Ugga, you think he cares about that? Nah, not really, Kevin. He could care less about it. Um, let's see. DJ23 says, I don't know if you talked about it, but that 17-year-old in Alabama had been cooking. No, I don't even know who that guy is, to be honest with you. So I can't even hold you on that one. Joshua writes, if the Commanders beat the Giants this Sunday, we should troll Dino. I don't know who that is, but I'm not trolling anybody if we beat one of the worst teams in football. That's not how it works for me. Again, I'll be I don't know if happy is the word. I'll be satisfied, I think is the right phrase for me. Happy isn't, I'm gonna be happy we won, but that happens when we beat anybody, not necessarily the Giants. I think the word that I'm looking for here is satisfaction. It would be validation for me because I've told you that things are different and we need a different result if things are truly different. So it'd be more of satisfaction for me. I'm not looking to troll anybody. They beat us 87 times in a row and tied once. Us beating them one time, that's when they stink and they're down. That's not a grounds for trolling anybody. But that's me. I mean, you can do what you want to do. I know better than that. O'Neal writes, we're not checking on dead bodies this time versus the Giants. We got to knock them the F out early. That's how I feel, man. But, a win's a win's a win in the National Football League. I don't care how they get it. But, yeah, I'd like to, really bloody up the scene and not really look back and check to see what's going on. I'm not looking to just hit anybody. I'm looking specifically to hit the Giants, right? Like a wise man once said, don't be just shooting up in crowds, make the right man bleed, right? I'm not looking to just start spraying and hoping I hit the target. No, I'm literally going after the Giants in this game and looking to make sure that they're done. And hopefully we get that done. And the key to me is to do it early, like to set the tone early. I'm not saying you got to jump on them 24-0. But setting the tone early, if they get up 10-0, if they get up 10-3, if they're confident, oh shit, here we go again, right? Not the players thinking that, because a lot of the players that are here, they haven't played against the Giants. They don't know about what Daniel Jones has been doing. I told you what Bobby Wagner said, right? I told you Daniel Jones, like he was shocked and surprised, like they struggled with him, that chump. So it's not going to be this, here we go again. The fans will do that. The players won't do that. But who will, feed off of that is the Giants, because a lot of those guys have won against us, have seen success against us. So they'll come in here thinking that they're going to win. And if they start fast, they're like, yep, we knew we were going to come in here and bust their ass. That's what you want to guard against. That's why I think the fast start is vital, right? Joshua says, if the Commanders beat the Giants on Sunday, do you think we should go to Deontay Banks and Kayvon Thibodeau's socials and talk shit or not? I mean, are they going to see it? I mean, you can knock yourself out. Look, I don't get pleasure in that. I talk my shit right here. They don't need I don't care if they see it or not. They don't need to see it for me to feel good. I'm going to talk my shit regardless. Trust me, people are going to troll them if they lose the game. They're Commanders fans that are petty just like me, who but are willing to take it that step that you're talking about, take it a step further. I'm not willing to go on somebody's social media and talk shit to them because I don't care enough. But I'm going to talk my shit right here, right? And if you're willing to come here and get the shit talked, then you wanted it. I'm not going to you to bring it to your doorstep, but just know I'm going to talk my shit if things go in our favor and you didn't do anything to stop it from going in our favor. I'm going to talk my shit. Now, if Kayvon Thibodeau has 2.5 sacks and they still lose, I'm going to give him his props. He did what he was supposed to do. Right? If Deontay Banks has a pick or has 5 PBUs in the game, he did what he was supposed to do. They just didn't get it done, right? Now if he gave up, 3 touchdowns, but he had 5 PBUs, different story. But if they didn't, he didn't give up anything and he had 5 PBUs or he had a pick, he did his job and they still lost. He did his job, right? They just didn't get it done. I'm gonna talk my shit regardless. I don't feel the need to talk it to them. But guess what? There are gonna be people that will talk it to them and give them the business. All right. And I'm here for all of it. I'm not gonna participate, but I'm here for all of it. All right. I'm here for all of it. Sean says, "Are you concerned with our O-line going against the Giants D-line? And if so, would you be fine with Jaden having 15 running attempts again?" I'm fine with Jaden doing whatever he feels like he needs to do to help us win. If that's 21 rushing attempts, so be it. I don't want that, but if that's what he feels like he has to do for us to win, do it. Do it. Do it. I'm not afraid of their defensive line. This is what I think is going to happen. Jaden's legs and the threat of them, and I keep saying this over and over again, his legs are going to affect the way teams rush. So I think he's going to help neutralize their front against our offensive line. Now, Dexter Lawrence in the middle is a problem regardless, because he doesn't have to worry about Jaden the runner at all. His job is collapse the pocket, win, get interior pressure. He doesn't care if it's read option or not. That the ends need to worry about that, not the defensive tackle. He's the one I'm worried about. But the edge rushers, I think he's going to neutralize those guys because of his ability to run. They're going to have to be very cautious with how they rush. So I'm not overly concerned, no, but we'll see what happens, right? Mark David writes, "That's the iPhone users butt dialing people. Also, what's your thoughts on new iPhones? They finally added split screen multitasking and the ability to pause video. You know how you did, Mark. You funny guy, Mark. You you silly, Mark. You funny, man. You know what? You teed that up perfectly. I'm not gonna fall for it though. You know what you were doing there. You know how I feel about iPhones and their ability to pause video. Look at them finally catching up. Look at that sparkling technology for the iPhone. They just realized, hey, I think we need a C charger. They just realized that, right? Those bootleg, bogus ass chargers they've had for this long ass time, they were trying to pigeonhole people into. They just realized, I think we need a C charger. Those work so much better. You think? Yeah. Damn iPhones with their stupid ass blue bubbles. Anyway, I digress. All right, let's get to the last segment of the show and my money picks of the week. So I got my picks and I'm going to give them to you. I feel really good about them. And I think, so let me say this. Let me get this right. Let me get this out the way real quick. All right. I think this is one of the easiest weeks in NFL history to predict as a prognosticator. And I know this could either go one of two ways. This could go really, really good, and I'm going to be absolutely spot on, or this could go really, really bad, and I'm going to look like an idiot. But I'm willing to do it. No risk it, no biscuit. Scared money don't make money. I'm here to tell you, I'm anticipating this week, for the first time in LouieTeeNetwork history, someone is going to go 16-0. I'm predicting it this week. That's how easy this week is. Lots of 14-2s, 15-1s, 13-3s. You're going to see a plethora of those. And I think you're going to see, I wouldn't be shocked if you see multiple 16-0s. There, I said it. In order for that to not happen, you're going to need the Giants, or you're going to need Tampa Bay or some team, or New England or some team that you don't expect to win and throw everyone's sheet off. And that would stop someone from going perfect. But if everything goes according to plan, like this is a chalk week. If you look at the games, there is a clear and decisive winner. Right? There's a team that you go, yeah, they should win. You're not even like, damn, let me skip this one and come back to it. Right? There's none of those this week. There's not a single, hey, let me skip that and come back to it. Every game, you look at it and immediately, I got a winner. Right? That's the kind of week that it is this week. Someone is going to go 16-0. Watch. I want to be the one. I want to be that guy because somebody's going to do it this week. Let it be me. Let it be me. All right, so here we go. I'm already 1-0. Can't go 16-0 if you're not 1-0, right? Can't get to 16 without one. I've already done that. Got the Buffalo Bills on Thursday night. So let's see if we can't continue the magic here as we go through these games. So Baltimore at home hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe they're at home. Let me just pull up the schedule. I'm trying to do this by memory, and I don't think that's the smartest thing for me to do. Not in my current state. I probably should just pull up the schedule for week 2 and make sure that I have everything. Yes, the Ravens are traveling to Baltimore. I have this correct. After watching the Raiders last week, score 10 points against the Chargers, does anybody think that they're going to go and light up the scoreboard against the Ravens, who are probably stark Raven mad after the way they lost to the Chiefs? Do you really think with the extra rest that the Ravens have gotten from that Thursday night opening day kickoff loss, they're not going to just have someone here in the Raiders that they're looking to take their frustration and anger out on? Yeah, right. Ravens are going to cruise in that game and get the dub. Of course, I've taken the Ravens, and so has just about everyone else. That was one of the most common survivor pool picks this week, was Ravens over Raiders, and I don't blame anyone for going in that direction. How about the Chargers taking on the Carolina Panthers? This was the most popular pick, by the way, which should scare some of you out there, because I told you in week 1, you get the biggest head fakes, and the Panthers look like the absolute worst team in football. And now everyone has said, hey, because in a survivor pool, this is one of the things that I tell people to do. But again, I got eliminated in week 1, and this is the second time in like 4 years or 3 years that I've been eliminated in week 1, and I've never won. So I don't know if I'm the guy that you should be taking advice from. But generally, the smart thing to do in a survivor pool is follow the bad team. Wherever they go, like, treat them like my buddy. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. Wherever you go, he goes. My buddy, my buddy, my. Wherever the Panthers go, that's where you go, right? So that's what a lot of people did this week. The people that picked the Saints last week said, shit, it was so good. It was so nice. I'm going to do it twice. Now they're picking them to beat, picking the Chargers to take care of business. I'm not here to tell you that that's not going to happen. I got the Chargers winning in this game. The Panthers stink, right? Until otherwise notified, they're garbage and arguably the worst team in football. So why wouldn't the Chargers go there and bludgeon them to death with the run game? J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and all of those guys. Got the Chargers in that game to run their record to 2-0 to start the season. How about the next game? Cowboys and Saints. I talked about this game already, and I'm asking, are the Saints for real, coming off the 47-10 drubbing of the Carolina Panthers? Cowboys themselves had a very impressive victory over the Cleveland Browns, 33-17. And again, the score did not really indicate just how lopsided that victory was. They dominated in all phases of that game. Here is a simple classic case of how good are you, really, right? Real contenders or pretenders is what you normally hear. It's too early to ask, is a team a contender? Are you real or are you fake? Are you real or are you a pretender, right? Going to find out a lot about the Saints in this game. Now, while I might leave this game with more respect than I had for the Saints going in, doesn't mean I think they're going to win. The Cowboys are the superior team here. They're at home for the first time in 2024. I think they take care of business. Unfortunately, the Cowboys start this season off 2-0. Give me the Dallas Cowboys in that game. Detroit Lions, I talked about this already. The Detroit Lions are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lions starting the season off with 2 straight home games against 2 playoff teams from a season ago that they eliminated, right? So this is an interesting game here with the Lions and Bucks. Both teams in different ways were impressive in their week 1 performances. So this one is an interesting game. Like, I think most people think that the Detroit Lions are going to win this game, and so in order for someone to go perfect, or for someone not to go perfect, you're going to need a game like this, right? Where most people are going to pick the Lions to win. You're going to need the Buccaneers to win that game, for someone to not have a perfect sheet, or the Patriots to lose to the Seahawks or beat the Seahawks, right? Something like that has to happen, which can happen, right? But I don't think it will happen. I think the Lions are the superior team here. I think that they're even though they're glad they won in week one, I think they're disappointed in their offensive performance in week one. And so I think you're going to get a spirited offensive performance from the Detroit Lions in this game. And the Bucs are banged up on defense. My goodness. I think you can take advantage of that defense. And I think the Lions will. I got the Lions winning that football game and winning it handily. Next game on the docket for me is the Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers. And Jordan Love is not playing this game. Jordan Love will be out of this game, and Malik Willis will get his first career start as a Green Bay Packer, and that spells trouble for the Green Bay Packers. And look, I don't love the Indianapolis Colts. I don't love Anthony Richardson. I've told you that already. He's so inconsistent. I thought week one was a tremendous microcosm of who he is, right? 2 ridiculous throws in that game that ended up going for long scores, and then like 15 misses in that game. He was 9 of 19, 9 completions this man had, 215 yards on 9 completions. It was insane. You will never see a better throw from a quarterback 50 yards down the field than the one that Anthony Richardson had against the Texans on Sunday. Backpedaling with a defender in his face, 50-yard flick to a receiver in double coverage, in stride, perfectly in the end zone. You'll never see that again. I mean, that shit blew me away. And then he's got the rookie receiver from Texas wide open for a touchdown twice, and he again. He had the deep ball with 2 defenders blanketing Alec Pierce, and he drops it in the bucket. He's got the rookie receiver from Texas running wide open for a touchdown twice, and he overshoots him by 3 yards both times. I can't make sense of it. I can't make sense of it. That said, I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts to go into Lambeau Field and beat the Green Bay Packers because I don't trust Malik Willis to not vomit all over himself. Give me Indianapolis to take care of the Colts, or excuse me, give me Indianapolis to take care of the Packers, the Jordan Loveless Packers. There's no love lost. Ain't no love in the heart of Green Bay. Ain't no love in the heart of town. Indianapolis is going to take them boys down. Ain't no love, then you losing. Next up, Jacksonville at home, taking on the Cleveland Browns. This is another one of those games where I go, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Now, that said, I thought that Jacksonville had their moments where they looked pretty impressive. And they would have won that game if Travis Etienne doesn't fumble. So I've said that already. Browns, on the other hand, look hopeless. They look hapless. Deshaun Watson stinks, man. No, he doesn't stink. He stinks. It's a difference. He's awful. Wow. And now he's got another little civil suit coming his way. Yikes. The Browns, man. I don't know. I ain't fooling around with them. I don't think they're going to be a good team this year. And I think Deshaun Watson is awful right now. He needs to prove me wrong. Until then, give me the Jags to take care of business in this game as I move on to a game I talked about already. And this completes the 3 teams that we talked about in the Gem Droppin Session. Here you have the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings in a game that features 2 1-0 teams coming off of very impressive wins. But the big difference here is one went to the Super Bowl last year, and it's been to the NFC Championship game 4 out of the last 5 years. And the other didn't make the playoffs last year, have very low expectations this year, or starting a former top 5 pick, top 3 pick, who is now turned into a journeyman quarterback, and he had himself a whale of a opening game of the season in Sam Darnold in the Minnesota Vikings. That said, the Vikings have not lost to the 49ers in Minnesota since 1992. We talked about that already. Does that mean anything? You damn right it does, but it doesn't mean anything this time. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers without Christian McCaffrey. The Vikings are banged up. No Jordan Addison in this game. And I think that defense is going to rattle the cage of one Samuel Darnold. The last time he saw a defense like this, the man admitted to seeing ghosts. Well, looks like Caspers will be showing up on Sunday as the San Francisco 49ers get it done. I got the Niners in that contest. This one is a tricky one. Seahawks at Patriots. I told you at the top of the show, the Seahawks won't, or the Patriots won't win another game for the next 6 to 8 weeks. This is the one they better get. Now, let's look at their schedule. I'm actually curious. I said that not knowing their schedule. I could look at their schedule right now and be like, oh, shit. They could win this game, this game, this game, and this game, right? All right, so they played the Seahawks this week. Then they go and they play the Jets. Then the 49ers. Okay, so they play the Dolphins now. All right, they play the Dolphins, then the Texans, then the Jags, then the Jets again. So really, the only other game, if they don't win this game, the only other game they could win is against the Patriots or against the Dolphins, excuse me, assuming that Tua is not back. And Tua could be back theoretically by then. We would then be into we'd be into week 5 by then. Tua could theoretically be back by week 6 or week 5. Week 5. So anyway, this schedule is pretty tough over the next 6 weeks. I feel pretty confident. If they don't beat Seattle, their next opportunity to win will be the Dolphins in week 5. And then they could beat Jacksonville over in London. I don't think they will. And then they got the Jets again. I don't think they're going to win that. Then you don't have another chance until November against the Titans, really. So, yeah, this is a pretty tough schedule for the Pats. And I don't really think they're going to win this game either. So, Seattle, while they weren't like super impressive at home against the Denver Broncos and a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, they got it done, right? They found a way to get it done. Geno Smith had a 34-yard touchdown scamper. I still think they're working out the kinks. Geno missed pretty much all of the preseason. Like, not like he was going to play anyway, but he wasn't even available for camp. He was banged up. So I think they're kind of working out some of those kinks. Kind of, new defensive coordinator, new head coach, Mike McDonald. So they're figuring out some things there. I think they're going to do what they need to do. I mean, the Patriots needed everything to go wrong for the Bengals in that game to win, and it did. And so they won. So I just don't see that happening week after week after week after week, right? Like Jacoby Brissett can't do the Jacoby Brissett thing and go 16 of 28 for 121 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and you think you're going to win every week. That shit doesn't fly, right? So, yeah, I got the Seahawks going to New England and getting it done. And the fairy tale start for Gerard Mayo doesn't meet a happily ever after in week number 2. Okay. Somebody said Kenneth Walker is out this week. Okay, plug in the next Seahawks running back and you'll be fine, right? This is more about the Seahawks being able to throw the football, score points. More like, again, the Patriots aren't going to be lighting up anybody's scoreboard this season. That's my point. Like, if you can, like, they literally needed the Bengals to not score points to win that game. What did the Bengals score? 10, right? 10, 13? What the score end up? That score was 16 to 10. 10 points. They needed them to score 10 points, right? How many weeks are you going to hold your opponent to less than 17 points? Because that's the Patriots. That's going to be their methodology, right? Is, hey, we got to keep the score down. We got to muck up the game. They won time of possession, kept the ball out of Cincinnati's hand. They got to muck up the game and win the time of possession, win the turnover battle. How many weeks are they going to do that and hold the opponent to less than 70? Because they're not going to be scoring 24 and 30 with that offense, with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, right? So they could win theoretically, but Kenneth Walker being out, all right, that sucks, and he helps, but they can still score 20 and the Patriots probably won't, right? Unless the Seahawks help them. Next game, Jets at the Titans, and game of 2 0-1 teams looking to get off the schneid. Titans blew a golden opportunity to start the season off 1-0 in their new head coach Callahan's first game as head coach. They blew it, man. That one sucks and it stings. because you're not beating the Jets this week. They had their fourth preseason game last week. They're ready to go now. Rodgers has knocked the rust off, and they're ready to go out and kick somebody's ass. And the Titans are going to get worked over in this game. This one, I think this is a blowout here. I wouldn't be shocked if this is one of those, 34 to, 16 type beatdowns by the Jets here. I got the Jets taking care of business there. Commanders hosting the Giants. I've talked about this game profusely. I'm just going to say this. I got a couple of things to say, and you guys can hold me to this. I'm not guaranteeing victory, but I've essentially done everything but guaranteed victory. Like, I feel so confident about this game, which is funny because I've been reading the comment section, and a lot of the fans are just they're worried to death about this game. Like, they can't believe that we're gonna win because the Giants just own us, and Daniel Jones is like, as someone said earlier, I think it was my guy Joe. He's like Joe Montana when he plays us, right? He can do no wrong against the Commanders. That's the narrative, right? The narrative for me is we don't score enough points to beat Daniel Jones when he comes to Washington or when we play them in New York, right? When we play him, we don't score enough points. It's not about how well he plays. It's about how bad we play, right? How we don't play well enough. That said, I will take a shot on the live stream on Sunday if we don't beat the Giants this weekend. I will take a shot on the post-game show if we do not win that game. That's how confident I feel. And I'll tell you this, I'll give you another tidbit on both sides of the football. You will have the coming out party of Frankie Louvu on the defensive side of the football. Frankie Louvu will have at least a sack. I think he's going to have 2 sacks in this game. And if he does not have a second sack, he will be responsible for creating a turnover, whether it's a forced fumble or it's a batted ball or he actually picks it off. He's going to be partially or absolutely responsible, solely responsible for creating turnover. Frankie Louvu will introduce himself to the fans because I've heard a lot of shit about Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu is average and I wasn't impressed. Okay, well, you're going to get you a real dose of Frankie Louvu this week. So that's my defensive breakout. And then Jaden Daniels is going to announce himself to the NFL world in this game. He is going to cook and torch that Giants defense. This is the game where he leads us into that Monday night game where people are like, man, I want to see this show, right? Jaden Daniels is going to not only announce himself to the world, get us the win, get us in the left-hand ledger, but he's also going to creep ever so close to the top of the Vegas odds for offensive rookie of the year. He's already second behind Caleb Williams, and that gap was closed considerably after week 1, and I think he closes it even more to the point where he could even overtake him after this game. That is how well I think he plays, and the Commanders win this game. And I've already given you my score, 27-16. Doesn't seem like much, but in the grand scheme of things and how well he plays and how the game is impacted by his play, you're going to feel really good about him after this contest. All right, here's my one. This is when I told you I got my bitch ass sheet and then I got my real ass sheet, my real sheet. And the sheet that ain't no bitch. Well, I'm going with the sheet that ain't no bitch no more. And this is my pick right here that could come back to bite me in the ass, but I'm blitzing from here on out. I live by the blitz, I die by the blitz. Rams at Cardinals, both teams 0-1, coming off of tough losses. Cardinals were up 17-3, blew it against the Bills. Meanwhile, the Rams had a shot late against the Lions, but could not stop them from getting a game-tying field goal at the end of regulation and then ultimately losing in overtime. So both teams 0-1, both teams NFC West family members. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's NFC West family business. Well, I think this is going to be an intriguing game. With no Puka Nacua, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm doing everything in my power to take away Cooper Kupp. The best part of waking up's the Rams Cooper Kupp. You got to take him away, right? Man had 21 targets in the Sunday night loss versus the Lions. and 14 catches, you've got to assume that they're going to try to get him the football and in ample doses. So if I'm the Cardinals, I'm looking to take him away. And then there's been a lot made this week of the lack of targets and opportunities for Marvin Harrison Jr., the number 4 overall pick in the draft. And Kyler Murray responded, "It's not my job to get him the football or to force him the football," essentially saying, you got to call plays to get him the ball. If he ain't open or, we didn't call a play for him, it ain't my job to get him the ball. And I'm like, yeah, Kyler, that's not supposed to be the response in that situation, but whatever, dude. At the end of the day, the Cardinals, I think, are going to win this game. Don't ask me why, other than I watched this Cardinals team compete their ass off on the road against Buffalo last week. Felt like they played a good enough game to win. Didn't make enough plays down the stretch. But I look at the Rams and I'm like, you're down Puka Nacua. There's no more Aaron Donald. They are, to me, they're a vulnerable team on the road here. I like Arizona in this spot. Now, could I regret this one? Absolutely. But I feel good about the Cardinals here. And this is the thing. I'm standing 10 toes down on my Cardinals being competitive this year and pushing for a playoff spot. Don't know if they're going to make it or not, but I'm standing 10 toes down in that assertion and claim. And so if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to say that, then I got to have the action to back it up. Here's that action. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. Steelers at Broncos. This is a toughie. This is a toughie because as much as I would love to see Russell Wilson return to the scene of the crime, and boy, was it messy. That was a bloodbath. His departure from Denver and the shit stain that was on his career, yikes. I'd love nothing more than to see him go in there, torch those guys, and come out smiling, right? As he rides off into the sunset. Did you see what I did there? Right? But I don't know if he's ready to play, and I don't know if he's the best option for that Steelers team. Whatever the case may be, Bo Nix looked like a rookie last week, right? And I talked about Jaden Daniels having a chance to kind of – I thought he was solid last week, but he's got a chance to really get on the big stage next week against the Bengals, and I think this is a precursor to him setting the stage for anticipation. Everybody wants to see what this young fella's doing, right? Here's a guy with another chance, another young quarterback with a chance to kind of clean up some things from week 1. 2 interceptions thrown by Bo Nix, and didn't get it done. Completion percentage was in the dumps. Didn't have a lot of yards per attempt. Struggled mightily with accuracy during the game against the Seahawks. Here's an opportunity to clean that up and to show that I can be a much better quarterback, right? Problem is, Steelers gave up 10 points last week. TJ Watt wrecked the game, and the Steelers defensively are as good as it gets in the NFL right now. I think that team, when they're healthy, at the addition of Dante Jackson at corner, with the having guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt and Highsmith and all of those guys that they have, they can wreck a game. And don't forget about Cam Hayward, right? They can wreck a game in a heartbeat. So that Steelers defense is ridiculous. And I don't think that Bo Nix is ready to tackle that kind of pressure. Translation, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game and getting to 2-0 on the season. The biggest game of week 2 doesn't have the sizzle that it should, that it normally does, and that it could. In Bengals and Chiefs, this is normally a heavyweight fight and a championship heavyweight bout that you expect to go the entire 12 rounds. And with that last 10 seconds of the 12th round, they're just throwing leather and, letting it all hang out, pause. And that's what you've gotten from Bengals Chiefs every time these two teams have met since Joe Burrow has arrived on the scene, essentially. This game comes in very underwhelming with the injury to T. Higgins, with Jamar Chase being not Jamar Chase right now. The Bengals having a nasty loss at home to the New England Patriots. This doesn't feel like normal Bengals Chiefs. And I take it a step further. The Chiefs just seem like a better team than the Bengals. Normally I don't feel comfortable saying that. That run defense that I saw from Cincinnati in week 1, very concerning. The fact that they allowed the Patriots, a team that offensively will not score a lot of points this season and will not control many ball games, let them control that game really from start to finish is alarming. Very, very alarming. And so I just think the Chiefs at home here going to take care of business. I could be wrong. Joe Burrow owns Patrick Mahomes right now, but I think the tide is turning in that series. Mahomes won the last one, and I think he's going to win this one. I've got the Chiefs winning this game, getting to 2-0, dropping the Bengals, and this is what it makes me nervous about week 3, is now the Bengals are going to have it in week 3, right? They win this game, right? They bust their ass. They come out of Arrowhead with the win. They could be puffing out their chests, maybe overlooking us, and maybe we could sneak them, right? They lose this game, they're going to be hyper focused. They're going to get T. Higgins back in week 3. I don't think he's playing in this game, right? I think he's doubtful. He's listed as doubtful. Don't think he's going to play. He'll be back though, right? He went from out last week to doubtful this week to, yeah, he's going to play next week on Monday Night Football. Of course, he'll make his season debut against us, kick our ass, and we'll lose that game, right? But I don't think he's going to play in this one, and I don't think they're going to win this one. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs to take care of business. All right. Now we're at Sunday Night Football, and I won't give you Monday night here because guess what? Guess what? We have a Monday podcast. So well, I said that last week, and then we didn't have one till Tuesday. So I'll give you Monday as well. Why not? I won't give you my analysis of Monday, hopefully with the intent of being back on Monday. Sunday Night Football. Sunday. Bears and Texans. So you get Caleb Williams on national television for the first time. We all get to see in his full splendor what he looks like in Chicago and what the hell he's up to. And so it wasn't pretty in week 1. As a matter of fact, I would tell you, even with Bo Nix's 2 interceptions, I would tell you that Caleb Williams's debut was the shakiest of the 3 rookie quarterbacks in week number 1. It was bad. It was really bad. Yeah, but guess what? There's 17 of these things, and he's got 16 more opportunities to play well. And if he plays well enough, along with the rest of his teammates, there might be some bonus football in his future. But first, he's got to go up against the offensive rookie of the year from a season ago, C.J. Stroud, and the Houston Texans, coming off of an impressive 29-27 victory over the Indianapolis Colts in week 1. Their newest acquisition at the receiver position, Stephon Diggs, 2 touchdown grabs. Their newest acquisition at the running back position, Joe Mixon, 30 carries, 150 plus yards for Joseph Mixon. He was unconscious in that game, right? Texans look good. CJ Stroud looked good. Nico Collins over 100 yards again, including a game-clinching diving stab on the sidelines on the 3rd down, which was just gorgeous. And C.J. Stroud was the captain of the ship once again, right? So Texans look good. Bears did not look good on offense, but they did look good on defense and on special teams. But this is all about Caleb Williams. Can he, much like Bo Nix and even Jaden Daniels to a lesser degree, can he make week 2 look a lot better than week 1 did? My guess is yes, it'll look a lot. It can't look much worse. It's going to look a lot better. He's on the national stage. I think this kid, really enjoys the spotlight. And that Texans defense did not impress me. But I will say that Caleb is not the mobile quarterback that Anthony Richardson is. And so while Anthony Richardson made some eye-popping plays last week, he left some things on the table. Maybe Caleb won't leave those on the table because he left some on the table last week as well. So this will be a fun game. But I said all that to say this. I'm taking the Houston Texans at home to get it done. And this might be an entertaining game, but the Texans will win. Monday night features the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles in that game. If we get to Monday, I'll be able to explain to you as to why. If not, then I'll just talk about it on Tuesday's show, why I thought the Falcons were going to lose. I'll just say this. Kirk Cousins has played against the Eagles in this very spot 2 years in a row. I know I've said that already. You probably heard me say that already. But the last 2 years in Minnesota, he's played against the Eagles in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial in this week 2 spot. 2 years ago, it was a Monday night on a doubleheader. He threw like 3 picks. He was awful. They lost 24-7. I think that score ended up being. And then last year, it was a Thursday night game. They played a lot better, but they still had too many turnovers. They lost that game in a shootout, like 34-30 or something like that, or 33-29 or something like that. Whatever the score, whatever the case may be, it was something to that effect. I think they lost by like 8 or something like that. But whatever it is, he does not fare well against Philadelphia in week 2 for whatever reason. And here he is back again, right? I don't like his chances, but we'll see what happens. I got the Eagles on Monday night. I got a couple super chats, and then I'm going to get out of here. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, late night Lou, the best kind of Lou. Enjoy my next message. It's time to get Uh-oh. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Somebody get Duncan. Somebody get Duncan. Elf Life, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Elf Life writes, please be right about Washington. Old head Lou. I got $500 in bragging rights on the line. I can't lose 500 and listen to stinking, smelly, low-life Giants fans, my friends, trolling me for the 3rd straight year. You're going to win this game, brother. You have nothing to worry about. The Commanders are going to win this game. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm going up as close to the guarantee line as you can go without crossing it. That's where I am, right? We're going to win this game, buddy. You're going to get your money. You're going to get your bragging rights, and you're going to get your self-respect back, okay? You're going to get your pride and your self-respect back, all right? You heard that here first from your man, Louie T. You got nothing to worry about. And if it doesn't go well, you know where to find me, and you know where to yell at me at. I'll be here, right? But you won't have to worry about doing that because the boys are going to show up, and they're going to take care of business. Anybody, anywhere, anytime. We're going to get it done. You have my word. This message has been approved by your man, Louie T. So that is going to do it for me, your man, Louie T, here on the 448th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys the next time, which will be Monday, more likely than not, could be Tuesday. For the rest of you, you know where to find me. Post-game on the overtime shows. We got a Sunday night game between the Texans and the Bears. That should be juicy. But, of course, before that, I'm going to be live post-game for the Commanders. Now, I'll be on Bleacher Report directly after the game for the first 30 minutes, and then after that, I'll be on the channel, and we'll be talking about a Commanders victory. Feel really confident about that. Yeah, really confident. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Just got paid Friday night, party shaking. Look, y'all know what it is. Enjoy your Saturday. If you're on the East Coast like me, if you're on the West Coast, you're on the left coast, enjoy the rest of your Friday night. I'll see you next time. Take care. God bless. Have a good one.